Picture this, you hold two numbers in your hands, 250,000 dead now, or maybe 1.5 million later. No other choice. You have 24 hours. What you pick will mark you, a hero or a monster. This is what Harry Truman knew. He knew the world would hate him, but he signed the papers anyway. He did not blink. He did not say sorry. He said he would do it again. So the real question is not what he did. The question is this: did history reward a hard choice, or did it excuse a terrible crime? Silence. Harry Truman never wanted to be president. He was a man from Missouri, a farmer's son. He sold hats before he got into politics. People liked him, but no one thought he would lead the nation. Then, April 12, 1945 happened. Franklin Roosevelt died. The war was still going. Truman got a call. He rushed to the White House. Eleanor Roosevelt met him. She said, "Harry, the president is dead." Truman asked, "Is there anything I can do for you?" She looked at him. "Is there anything we can do for you? You are the one in trouble now." She was right. Truman had been vice president for just 82 days. Roosevelt never told him much. They barely talked. Roosevelt kept secrets. Big secrets. Therefore, when Truman sat in the Oval Office that first night, he knew almost nothing. He did not know about the secret meetings. He did not know about the plans. He did not know about the weapon. The next day, a man came to see him. His name was Henry Stimson. He was the Secretary of War, old, serious. He carried a folder. Stimson sat down. He said, "Mr. President, we need to talk about a project, a very secret project." Truman listened. "We have been building a bomb," Stimson said. "It is not like other bombs. This one can destroy an entire city. Just one bomb." Truman stared at him. "It will be ready in a few months," Stimson continued. "You will have to decide if we use it." Therefore, Truman inherited the choice. He did not create the Manhattan Project. He did not spend 3 years and $2 billion building it. Scientists worked in secret across the country. They split atoms in labs. They tested in deserts, all before Truman even knew, but now it was his. The briefings came fast. Military leaders filled his office. Maps covered his desk. They showed him Japan. They showed him the Pacific Islands. American boys were dying. Thousands every week. General George Marshall spoke. "If we invade Japan, we will lose many men, maybe 500,000, maybe more." Admiral William Leahy added more. "The Japanese will not quit. They think surrender is shame. They will fight with everything. Civilians too. Women, children, everyone." Truman asked questions. He took notes. He did not sleep much. The reports painted a dark picture. Japan was losing. Everyone knew it, but they would not stop. Their code was simple: death before surrender. Kamikaze pilots crashed planes into ships. Soldiers hid in caves and fought to the last man. On Okinawa, civilians jumped off cliffs rather than be captured. The Japanese government told people the Americans would torture them. Better to die now. Therefore, an invasion looked like a nightmare. American planners called it Operation Downfall. It would start in November 1945. 1 million troops would land on Japanese beaches. The fighting would last a year, maybe more. But there was another path now. The bomb. Truman read the reports at night. The weapon was ready for testing. Scientists said it would work. They called it the gadget. Some worried it would be too powerful. One scientist feared it might ignite the atmosphere and burn the whole world. They tested it anyway. July 16th, 1945. New Mexico desert. 5:29 in the morning. The blast lit up the sky like a second sun. The explosion could be seen 200 miles away. The mushroom cloud rose 7 miles high. Windows broke 120 miles from the test site. Robert Oppenheimer watched. He thought of an old text. "Now I am become death destroyer." The bomb worked. A message went to Truman. He was in Germany at a peace conference. He read the report. Then he met with Churchill and Stalin. He told Churchill first. Churchill said, "Use it." Stalin already knew through spies. He did not seem surprised. Truman faced his choice: invade and lose hundreds of thousands of American soldiers, or drop the bomb and end it fast. But it was not simple math. The bomb would kill civilians, women, children, old people, entire families, in one flash. His advisors were split. Some said, "Do it." Some said, "Wait." Some said, "Drop it on an empty island first. Show Japan what would happen. Give them a warning." But Truman worried. What if the demonstration bomb did not work? What if Japan still did not quit? Then America would look weak, and the bomb was precious. They only had 2 ready. Therefore, he made his choice. Drop it on a city. Make it real. Show the full power. Force Japan to quit. He picked the targets: Hiroshima, then Nagasaki. He signed the order. He told his staff, "The final decision is mine. I have made it. No going back now." The numbers were brutal, cold, but they were all Truman had. Operation Downfall would be the biggest invasion ever, bigger than D-Day. The first part was called Olympic. Land on Kyushu Island, November 1st, 1945. The second part was Coronet. Land near Tokyo, March 1st, 1940. Military planners did the math. They looked at past battles. Okinawa was close. 12,000 Americans died there. 100,000 Japanese soldiers died, but 100,000 Japanese civilians died too. Therefore, if Okinawa was the model, the invasion of Japan would be hell. General Marshall gave Truman the numbers. We expect 250,000 American casualty, maybe more, maybe 500,000. Japan will not quit easy. Casualty meant dead or wounded, but many wounded would die later from infection, from injuries too bad to fix. And that was just America. The Japanese numbers would be much worse. Soldiers would die fighting, but so would civilians, millions of them. Why? Because Japan had a plan. They called it the glorious death of 100 million. The government gave orders. Every citizen was a soldier now. Old men got bamboo spears. Women trained to fight with sharpened sticks. Children learned to throw grenades, even if the grenade killed them too. Schools became war camps. Teachers told students, "You will die for the emperor. It is your honor." The military stored weapons everywhere, in schools, in temples, in homes. They dug tunnels, they built traps, they prepared for a long, bloody fight. Therefore, the invasion would not just be army versus army. It would be house by house, street by street. Every building a battle, every civilian a possible fighter. Truman knew about Japan's suicide culture. He saw the reports. Kamikaze attacks killed 5,000 American sailors. Pilots smiled as they crashed into ships. They wrote goodbye letters home. They felt proud. On Saipan, an island battle from 1944, something terrible happened. When American troops arrived, Japanese civilians jumped off cliffs. Mothers threw babies first, then jumped themselves. Thousands died this way. The Japanese called it Gyokusai, breaking the jewel. Better to die pure than live captured. Therefore, an invasion would kill millions. American soldiers, Japanese civilians, all mixed together in the blood. But there was context. Bombing cities was normal now. Both sides did it. In 1945, American planes dropped firebombs on Tokyo. One night in March, 300 planes, 2,000 tons of bombs. The fires burned so hot the rivers boiled. The wind from the flames knocked people down. 100,000 people died in one night, maybe more. That was one night, one city with regular bombs. The military did not blink. They bombed 60 more Japanese cities, turned them to ash, burned them flat, killed hundreds of thousands. No one called it a war crime, it was just war. Therefore, when Truman looked at the atomic bomb, he saw it as the same thing. A bigger bomb, more efficient, but not different in kind. He asked himself the question, what saves more lives, invasion or bomb? The math seemed clear. Drop 2 bombs, kill 200,000, or invade, kill millions, 200,000 versus millions. His advisors backed him up. Secretary of War Stimson said, the bomb will shock them, they will have to quit. General Marshall agreed. It is the fastest way to end this. Even scientists who built it said use it. They signed letters. They said, we made it to stop Germany, but Germany quit. Japan has not. Use it on Japan. But some scientists disagreed. Leo Szilard wrote a petition. He got 70 scientists to sign. They said, do not use it on people. Show it first. Drop it where no one lives. Let Japan see what it can do. Truman never saw that petition. The military kept it from him. Other advisors warned him. Admiral Leahy said, this is barbaric. We do not bomb civilians on purpose. That is what barbarians do. But Truman had already seen what regular bombs did. Tokyo burned. People died by the thousands. The atomic bomb was just faster. Therefore, in his mind, the choice was simple. Math, logic, numbers. 250,000 bomb deaths or millions of invasion deaths. He picked the smaller number. He wrote later, I made the only decision I could. I would make it again. But he did not see what the bomb really did. Not yet. He knew the science, he knew the power, he read the reports, but he did not see the shadows burned into walls, he did not hear the screams, he did not smell the burning flesh, he did not watch skin fall off in sheets. Therefore, when he gave the order, he believed he was saving lives. He was about to learn the cost of that math. August 6th, 1945, 8:15 in the morning, Hiroshima. The sky was clear, people walked to work, children played a normal Monday morning. Then, a flash, brighter than 1,000 suns. For one moment, the center of the bomb reached 1 million degrees, hotter than the surface of the sun. The heat wave moved at the speed of light. People near the center vanished. They turned to vapor. Their shadows burned into walls and streets. That was all that remained. Dark shapes, where people used to be. The blast wave came next. It moved faster than sound, 1,000 miles per hour. It ripped buildings apart. It threw people through the air like leaves. It tore off skin. It crushed bones. Then the fire started. Everything burned: wood, paper, cloth, skin. The fire created its own wind, a tornado of flames. It sucked oxygen from the air. People who survived the blast suffocated in the smoke. Akiko Takakura was 20 years old. She was 300 meters from the blast. She survived, but barely. I was thrown against a wall, she said. When I stood up, my skin was hanging off my arms like gloves. I did not feel pain. I could not. She walked outside. What she saw broke her mind. Bodies everywhere. Some still moving. Some burned so bad she could not tell if they were men or women. People begged for water, she said. Their lips were cracked, their faces were swollen. I could not help them, I could not even help myself. Sumiteru Taniguchi was 16. He delivered mail on a bicycle. The blast caught him from behind. My back was burned completely, he said. The flesh hung down. I could see my bones. I laid on my stomach for 2 years. I could not move. He survived, but he carried those scars for 70 years, until he died. 70,000 people died in the first second, just gone. Turned to ash, blown apart, burned alive, but that was just the start. 70,000 more would die by the end of the year. From burns, from injuries, from something new. Radiation sickness. No one understood it at first. People who seemed fine started dying. Their hair fell out, they bled from their eyes, from their mouths, their skin turned purple, they vomited, they shook, then they died. Doctors did not know what to do, nothing worked, no medicine helped. The radiation had poisoned their cells, their bodies broke down from the inside. Therefore the death toll kept rising, week after week, month after month. By December, 140,000 people were dead in Hiroshima, but Truman did not wait. 3 days later, August 9th, another bomb. Nagasaki. This bomb was different, more powerful, but the city had hills. The blast did not spread as far. Still, 70,000 people died, instantly or slowly. Same suffering, same horror. Michiko Kodama was 12 years old. She was at home. The bomb flash came through her window. Everything turned white, then orange, then black. When I could see again, my house was gone. I found my mother. She was dead. My sister was dead. I was alone. She walked through the city. Bodies floated in the river. A mother held her dead baby. She would not let go. A man sat by a wall, his jaw blown off, still alive, still moving. I wanted to die, Michiko said. I could not understand why I lived. The survivors were called hibakusha. Explosion-affected people. They carried scars, physical and mental. Many got cancer later, leukemia, thyroid cancer, stomach cancer. The radiation stayed in their bodies for decades. Therefore, the bombs did not just kill, they poisoned the future. Children born to survivors had higher rates of birth defects. The genetic damage passed down for generations. But here is the twist. Japan still did not quit, not right away, the emperor to surrender. But the military leaders argued. They said, we can still fight, we can still die with honor. It took 6 more days. Finally, August 15th, the emperor spoke on the radio. His voice shook. We must endure the unendurable. We must suffer the insufferable. Japan surrendered. The war was over. Therefore, Truman's math worked. The bombs ended the war. No invasion, no million dead Americans, no 10 million dead Japanese. The numbers say he was right. But walk through Hiroshima. Look at the shadows on the walls, read the names of the dead, stand in the museum, look at the watches, frozen at 8:15, the melted bottles, the burned clothing, the photos of children with their skin falling off. Ask yourself, did the math make it right? Truman said yes. He said he saved lives. He said he would do it again. But the people who died did not get a vote. The children who turned to ash did not get a say. The mothers who burned holding their babies did not get a choice. Therefore, the question remains. Who gets to decide? Who gets to do the math? The world did not cheer. Not everyone. America celebrated VJ Day, victory over Japan. The war was done. Soldiers would come home. Times Square filled with people, kissing, dancing, crying with joy. But other voices, angry voices, shocked voices, moral voices. The Vatican spoke first. Pope Pius X called it catastrophic. He said, such weapons go beyond the bounds of moral warfare. Religious leaders in America agreed. The Federal Council of Churches said, we are horrified. This bomb is not just a weapon, it is an offense against God. Therefore, Truman faced backlash, not from everyone, but from enough people to matter. Intellectuals wrote essays. Scientists who built the bombs spoke out. Albert Einstein said, I wish I had never helped. This is terrible. Some called Truman a war criminal. They said he killed civilians on purpose. They said he had other choices. They said he did not need the bomb. The arguments came fast, strong, bitter. Why did you not drop it on an empty forest? Critics asked. You could have shown Japan the power without killing anyone. Why not wait? Others said. Russia was about to join the war. Japan would have quit anyway. Why drop two? More voices. Maybe one was enough. Why Nagasaki 3 days later? Truman did not waver. He held press conferences. He gave speeches. He wrote articles. His message was clear. I did what was right. I saved lives. I would do it again. But the attacks kept coming, especially from overseas. British philosopher Bertrand Russell said, "This was an act of horror. America has crossed a line. We can never go back." French writer Albert Camus wrote in his paper, "Civilization has to choose. Either justify this bomb or reject it. There is no middle ground." Therefore, the debate was not just political. It was moral, philosophical, religious. It cut across all lines. Some historians started digging. They found documents, memos, letters. They built a case against Truman. The Japanese were ready to quit, they said. Look at the evidence. In July 1945, Japan sent messages through neutral countries. They wanted to surrender. They just wanted one condition: keep the emperor. America said no, unconditional surrender only. Therefore, critics said, you did not need the bomb. You could have said yes. Let them keep the emperor. The war ends. No bomb, no deaths. But Truman defended his choice. We could not trust them. They said they wanted peace before, then they attacked Pearl Harbor. We needed full surrender, total, complete. Still, the criticism hurt him. His approval ratings dropped. In 1946, 50% of Americans supported him. By 1952, only 32% did. He became one of the most unpopular presidents in history, but he never apologized, never wavered, never showed regret. In 1958, a reporter asked him, "Do you ever think about the people who died?" Truman stared at him. "I think about the American boys I saved. I think about their mothers, their wives. They got to see them come home. That is what I think about." Another time, a journalist pushed harder. "But they were civilians, innocent people." Truman's voice got cold. "War is not clean. War is hell. In war, people die. We did not start this war. Japan did. They killed plenty of civilians too. Ask China. Ask the Philippines." Therefore, he shifted blame. He made it about context, about Japan's crimes, about America's right to defend itself. And he had a point. Japan was brutal in the war. The rape of Nanking killed 300,000 Chinese civilians. Japanese soldiers tortured prisoners. They ran experiments on people. Unit 731, biological warfare tests on living humans. Japan's hands were not clean, but two wrongs do not make a right. That is what critics said. Japan's crimes do not excuse yours. You dropped the bomb on civilians, women, children. That is your choice. Your responsibility. The debate exploded in universities. Philosophy classes argued for hours. Is it ever right to kill innocents to save others? Can the ends justify the means? One school of thought said yes, consequentially. If more lives are saved, the action is moral, judged by results, not by rules. The other school said no, deontology. Some acts are wrong no matter what. Killing innocents is always wrong, even to save others. Therefore, Truman became a test case, a moral experiment. Every generation since has argued about him. What would you do? What should he have done? Some call him a hero, a man who made a hard choice, a president who carried the burden so others would not have to. Others call him a butcher, a war criminal who escaped justice, a man who killed 200,000 people and slept just fine. But Truman did not care what history would say. He said it himself. "I did my job. I ended the war. That is all." The burden was his, the choice was his, the blame was his, but so was the victory. Let us look at both sides, fair, clear, no bias. First, the case for Truman. The defenders who say he was right. Argument 1. He saved lives. This is the core, the main point. The invasion would have killed millions. American soldiers, Japanese civilians. All the numbers say so. General Marshall's estimate, 500,000 American casualties. But some planners thought it could be more. 1 million. The Japanese would fight house by house, block by block, no surrender, and Japanese deaths would be worse. 10 million, maybe more, from fighting, from starvation, from disease. The war would have lasted into 1946, maybe 1947. Therefore, the bomb saved lives, net lives. More people lived because he dropped it. That is the math. Argument 2. Japan left him no choice. Japan refused to surrender. Their code was clear. Death before dishonor. Fight to the end, even when they were losing, even when their cities burned, even when their people people starved. The Potsdam Declaration came in July. America, Britain, and China gave Japan a choice: surrender now or face total destruction. Japan ignored it. They said nothing, therefore Truman had to act. Argument 3, it was war. In war, civilians die. That is the truth. It is ugly, but it is real. Both sides bombed cities. Germany bombed London, America bombed Berlin. Japan bombed Chinese cities. Everyone did it. The atomic bomb was just bigger, but not different in kind. Firebombs killed more people in Tokyo than the atomic bomb killed in Hiroshima. No one called that a war crime. Therefore, the bomb was a weapon of war. Used in war to win war. Argument 4, it shocked Japan into reality. The emperor said it himself. In his surrender speech, he mentioned a new and most cruel bomb. The atomic bomb forced him to act, to break the military's hold, to end the war. Without that shock, the military would have kept fighting. More people would have died. The bomb saved Japan from itself. These arguments are strong, logical, based on facts. Many historians support them. But now the other side, the critics, the ones who say Truman was wrong. Argument 1, Japan was already beaten. By August 1945, Japan was done. Their navy was destroyed, their air force was gone, their cities were ashes. They could not win. They knew it. American submarines blocked all trade. No oil, no food, no supplies. Japan was starving. In months they would collapse. Therefore, the bomb was not needed. Just wait. Just blockade. Japan falls without invasion. Without the bomb. Argument 2, Russia was the real reason. On August 8th, Russia declared war on Japan. Soviet troops invaded Manchuria. Japan feared Russia more than America. They feared communist rule. They feared Stalin. Some historians say that is why Japan quit. Not the bomb, but Russia. The bomb was just the excuse. Therefore, Truman dropped the bomb for another reason: to scare Russia, to show power, to start the Cold War with an advantage. The bomb was not about Japan, it was about the future. Argument 3, a demonstration would have worked. Drop the bomb on an empty island or a forest. Show Japan the power. Give them a chance to quit before killing anyone. This option was discussed. Some scientists pushed for it, but Truman said no, too risky. What if it did not work? What if Japan still refused? But critics say he did not try. He went straight to killing. That was a choice, a cruel choice. Argument 4, civilians are not targets. The laws of war are clear. Do not target civilians. Soldiers fight, civilians do not. Killing them on purpose is wrong, always. Hiroshima was not a military base. It was a city. Families lived there, children, old people. They were not soldiers. Therefore, the bomb was murder. Mass murder. 200,000 murders. Call it what it is. These arguments are also strong, also logical, also based on facts. Therefore, the debate continues. 80 years later, still no answer, still no agreement. Who is right? Truman or his critics, the consequentialists or the deontologists, the warriors or the moralists? You decide. That is the point. History does not give us easy answers. It gives us hard questions. What would you do if you were in that room? If you held those papers? If you had 24 hours? Would you sign? Who was Harry Truman? Not the president. The man. He was born in 1884. Missouri, a small town called Lamar. His family were farmers. His father traded horses and mules. They were not rich, but they were not poor either. Middle America. Simple life. Harry wore thick glasses. He could not see well. Therefore, he could not play sports. Other kids teased him, called him weak, called him sissy, but he read. He read every book in the Independence Library. History, biography, war stories. He loved military history. He dreamed of being a soldier. He tried to join the army in high school. They rejected him. Bad eyes. He was crushed. But years later, in 1917, America joined World War I. Truman was 33, too old for the draft, but he lied on his eye test. He memorized the chart. He got in. He became an artillery officer. He led men in battle in France, in the Meuse-Argonne. His unit fired thousands of shells, killed German soldiers. War was real to him, not theory, not books, real. He came home different, harder, more confident. He knew he could lead. He knew he could make hard calls. Therefore, when he became president, he was not soft. He understood war. He understood death. He understood that sometimes you have to do terrible things. But that does not mean it was easy. His diary tells the story. His private writing. His letters to his wife, Bess, July 25th, 1945. Truman wrote in his diary, the day he approved the bomb order. We have discovered the most terrible bomb in the history of the world. It may be the fire destruction prophesied in the Bible. After all, the atom is energy. Man has learned to control it. he continued. This weapon is to be used against Japan. We will use it so that military targets and soldiers are the focus, not women and children. Even if the Japs are savages, ruthless and fanatic, we as the leader of the world for the common welfare cannot drop this terrible bomb on the old capital or the new. But that is not what happened. Hiroshima was a city. Nagasaki was a city. Civilians died. Women, children, thousands of them. Therefore, either Truman lied to himself, or he did not understand what the bomb would do. Or he knew and wrote a different version in his diary. After the bomb dropped, he got reports, casualty numbers, damage estimates. He read them. He signed off on the second bomb, Nagasaki. Did he hesitate? His writings do not say so. His public statements were firm, his private letters were calm, but some historians see hints, small moments. In 1948, he wrote about a letter he received from a man whose son died in the war. The man thanked him, said the bomb saved his boy. Truman kept that letter. He reread it often. Why? Maybe for comfort, maybe for justification, maybe to remind himself why he did it. In 1958, a TV interview asked him, "Any regrets?" Truman said, "None. I did my duty. I ended the war. That is what a president does." But his face showed something else. Tiredness, weight, not regret, but burden. He never said sorry, but he never celebrated either. He did not boast. He did not smile about it. He just carried it. His friends said he slept fine. He did not have nightmares. He did not drink to forget. He was at peace. His choice. But is that strength or coldness? Is that leadership or something darker? Therefore, Truman remains a puzzle, a man who made the biggest choice in history, who killed 200,000 people with a signature, and who went on with his life. Some see a hero, a man who did what was needed, who did not flinch, who protected his country. Others see a man who convinced himself, who built walls around his guilt, who never truly faced what he did. Maybe both are true. Maybe he was a man doing his best in a terrible time with terrible choices, and he chose what seemed right to him. History will judge him forever. But Truman did not wait for history. He judged himself, and he said, "I did right. That you believe him is up to you." The bomb changed everything. Not just Japan, not just the war, everything. Before Hiroshima, war had limits. Weapons could only do so much. Destroy a city? That took months, thousands of bombs, hundreds of planes. After Hiroshima, one plane, one bomb, one city, gone. Therefore, a new age began, the atomic age, and with it, a new fear, the fear that we might destroy ourselves. Within 4 years, Russia had the bomb, then Britain, then France, then China. Now 9 countries have nuclear weapons, thousands of them, enough to destroy the world many times over. The Cold War was born from Truman's choice, America and Russia, each building more bombs, bigger bombs, faster bombs, each afraid the other would strike first. Children in the 1950s practiced duck and cover drills. Hide under your desk, as if that would save you. Families built bomb shelters, stocked them with food and water, waited for the end. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 brought the world to the edge. Kennedy and Khrushchev, 2 men, 2 buttons. 13 days of terror. One mistake, one wrong move, and the world ends. We survived. Barely. Therefore, Truman's bomb created a permanent shadow, a sword hanging over humanity. We live with it every day. We just do not think about it, but it is there, the possibility, the threat, that one day someone will push the button again. The bomb also changed how we think about war. Before war had rules, written rules, unwritten rules. Do not target civilians, do not poison wells, do not use certain weapons. But the bomb broke those rules, and we accepted it. We said it was necessary, we said it was justified. Therefore, every war since asked the question, what is acceptable? What is too far? Where is the line? America used napalm in Vietnam, burned villages, burned children. The famous photo, the girl running, screaming, her skin on fire. We said it was war. We said it was necessary. Israel bombs Gaza. Civilians die. Children die. They say it is necessary. Hamas hides among civilians. Russia bombs Ukraine. Hospitals, schools is war. Where is the line? Who decides? How do we know when we have gone too far? Truman's bomb made these questions harder. It set a precedent. It said, survival justifies anything. But does it? Should it? Can we accept that logic without becoming monsters? These are not easy questions. There are no easy answers. Therefore, this documentary does not give you an answer. It cannot. The answer is yours to find. But here is the challenge, the final test. Imagine you are Truman. August 1945. The bomb is ready. Your advisors give you options. Option 1, drop the bomb, end the war fast, kill 200,000, save millions. Option 2, invade, lose hundreds of thousands of American boys, kill millions of Japanese, but do it the honorable way. Soldier versus soldier. Option 3, wait, blockade, starve them out, watch Japanese civilians die slowly, from hunger, from disease, months of suffering, but no invasion, no bomb. Option 4, negotiate, let them keep the emperor, end it now, but risk looking weak, risk Japan breaking the deal. Which do you choose? You have 24 hours. What you pick will define you forever. Do not answer too fast. Think about the faces, the mothers, the children, the soldiers, the burned cities, the shadows on the walls. Think about your country, your duty, your conscience, your soul. Then choose and live with it, like Truman did, because that is the truth of history. It is easy to judge from far away, from 80 years later, from the comfort of peace. But in the moment, with the weight, with the clock ticking, with the world watching, what would you do? Truman made his choice. History records it. We debate it, we judge it, we learn from it. But the question remains, not what he did, but what we become. But what